To my beloved husband, my rock through 40 years of marriage, to my son Mark, who made me proud every day, to my daughter Lisa, whose strength and compassion inspire me, to my grandchildren, who brought joy to my final years, and to my sisters, who were my first friends and my last confidants. Those were my mother's final words to her family, her written eulogy read by my brother at her funeral 3 days ago. Notice anyone missing? Me, her middle child, her second son, the one who sat by her hospital bed for the last 3 weeks of her life while cancer slowly took her from us. I didn't exist, not in her final thoughts, not in her final words. I am 35 years old. My older brother Mark is 38, and my younger sister Lisa is 32. Our mother was diagnosed with aggressive pancreatic cancer 4 months ago. The doctors gave her 6 months, but she deteriorated much faster than anyone expected. When she got the diagnosis, I immediately took family leave from my job. I live in the same city as my parents, unlike my siblings who both moved across the country. Mark is a successful surgeon in Boston with a wife and 3 kids. Lisa runs her own business in Seattle. They both came to visit when they could, but the day-to-day burden of care fell to me and my father. I didn't mind. I loved my mother. We had our differences over the years. She never approved of my career as a high school teacher, thought I was wasting my potential, didn't understand why I chose to get divorced rather than work things out with my ex-wife. But I thought we had reached a place of mutual respect, if not complete understanding. Every day for those 3 months, I would go to their house after school. I'd cook dinner for my parents, help my mother take her medications, sit with her while my father took a much-needed break. As she got weaker, I was the one who helped her to the bathroom, who held her hand through painful procedures, who read to her when her vision became too blurry to read herself. The night before she died, I was there. Mark had flown in the day before, and Lisa was due to arrive the next morning. We knew it would be soon. The hospice nurse had prepared us. My mother was drifting in and out of consciousness. At one point she became lucid, looked at me and asked for her notebook. I knew which one she meant, the leather-bound journal she'd been writing in since her diagnosis. I handed it to her, and she weakly pushed it toward my brother. "Mark," she whispered, "my eulogy is in here. I want you to read it." My brother nodded, took the notebook, and promised he would. She smiled, squeezed his hand, then looked around the room at all of us before closing her eyes again. She passed away peacefully a few hours later, with all 3 of her children and her husband by her side. The funeral was arranged quickly, as per her wishes. She didn't want a large service, just immediate family and close friends at the cemetery where her parents were buried, maybe 50 people in total. Mark, as the eldest, would deliver the eulogy she had written. I stood between my father and sister as Mark approached the podium, notebook in hand. He opened it, cleared his throat, and began to read our mother's final message. I listened, at first with grief and love, then with growing confusion, and finally with a cold, spreading numbness as I realized she had acknowledged everyone in our family by name, except me. Not a mention, not a single word about her middle child, the son who had spent the last months of her life caring for her every need. I felt like I'd been slapped, like I was suddenly invisible. The omission was so obvious, so deliberate, that several people in the small gathering glanced at me uncomfortably. My father stiffened beside me. Lisa reached for my hand, but I pulled away. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't stand there and pretend this was okay. So in the middle of Mark reading about how proud our mother was of her grandchildren, I turned and walked away. No scene, no words, just a quiet exit while everyone watched. I got in my car and drove to a park where my mother used to take us as children. I sat on a bench and tried to make sense of what had just happened. Had I imagined our relationship these past months? Had my presence been nothing but an inconvenience to her? Was this her final way of telling me I had disappointed her? My phone began buzzing with texts and calls, first from Lisa, then Mark, then various relatives. I ignored them all. I needed space to process this incredible hurt. Eventually, I went home. I turned off my phone and opened a bottle of whiskey. Not my proudest moment, but I needed something to numb the pain. The next morning, my doorbell rang incessantly until I finally answered it. My father, brother, and sister stood there, all with different expressions. My father looked devastated, Mark annoyed, Lisa concerned. "What the hell was that?" Mark demanded as soon as I let them in. "You walked out in the middle of Mom's funeral. Do you have any idea how disrespectful that was?" I stared at him incredulously. Disrespectful? She wrote me out of her life. She mentioned everyone else by name. Even the family dog got a reference, but not me. Not her son, who was there every single day. "That's what this is about?" Mark scoffed. "You're upset you didn't get a special mention? This isn't about you, it's about Mom." My father intervened before I could respond. "Your mother loved you," he said quietly. "You know that." "Do I?" I asked, because it sure seems like her final message to the world was that I didn't matter to her. Lisa tried to mediate, suggesting that maybe Mom had written the eulogy before I became her primary caregiver, or perhaps she had assumed I knew how she felt without needing public acknowledgement. But I knew better. The notebook had entries dated just a week before her death. She had been updating it regularly. My exclusion wasn't an oversight. It was a choice. The argument escalated. Mark accused me of making Mom's death about myself, of throwing a tantrum when the focus should be on grieving her. My father begged us to stop fighting. Lisa tried to find middle ground. Finally, I asked them all to leave. I needed time. They reluctantly went, with my father hugging me tightly before going and whispering that he was sorry. Since then, the family has been divided. My aunts and uncles, Mom's siblings, have been calling to express their shock at my behavior. How could I walk out on my own mother's funeral? What kind of son does that? Apparently my disrespect is now the main topic of family conversation, not my mother's passing. My cousins are split. Some think I overreacted, others understand why I was hurt. My sister keeps texting that we need to talk more, that there must be an explanation. My brother has sent one message: "When you're ready to apologize for making Mom's funeral about your ego, we'll be waiting." My father is the only one who hasn't pressured me. He came by yesterday, alone, and we sat in silence for a long time before he finally spoke. "I don't know why she left you out," he admitted. "I read the eulogy the night before the funeral and noticed right away. I almost said something to Mark, asked him to add a mention of you, but I knew that wasn't what she wrote." He paused, tears in his eyes. "It wasn't right. You were everything to her these last months. I don't understand it either." That at least gave me some comfort. I'm not crazy. The omission was real and noticeable. But now I don't know what to do. The family is planning a small memorial dinner this weekend, a chance to share memories of Mom in a less formal setting than the funeral. They want me there, but I'm not sure I can face everyone after my disgraceful exit, as my uncle called it. Part of me thinks I should go, put on a brave face, and pretend the eulogy never happened. For family harmony. For my father, who is grieving enough without family drama. Another part wants to skip it entirely, to protect myself from more pain, more exclusion, more judgment. My mother is gone. I can't ask her why she wrote me out of her final words. I can't get closure on whether the months of care I provided meant anything to her. All I have is that glaring omission, that public erasure of my existence in her life. So here's my question. Am I the jerk for walking out of my mother's funeral when I realized she had deliberately excluded me from her eulogy? Should I have stayed, swallowed my hurt, and maintained the appearance of a united family? Should I attend the memorial dinner and act like nothing happened? I've spent my life trying to earn my mother's approval, even in her final months. I thought maybe I had finally done enough. But her last words suggest otherwise. And I don't know how to reconcile the mother who squeezed my hand in gratitude every day with the woman who couldn't find space to mention me in her final message to the world.